Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we discussed my best boy, Albedo. Regardless of what anyone says about him, he's still number one in my heart.
This week, we'll be discussing Shenhe, the cryo mommy with the biggest booty in all of Genshin.
Bringing
Allegedly.
in the butt. We just want to remind everyone to visit our website. That is talesofteyvat.com and feast your eye holes on all of the delicious content that Tiff works on very hard every week for you. If you want to see some visual representations of the lore that we're going to be talking about in this podcast, that's where you will find them. So head on over.
You'll also find on our site links to our past seasons and our special episodes, artist spotlights for the community per episode, wallpapers for download, and some of our favorite Genshin merch.
Finally, feel free to email us at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let us know what you think of this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. So Shenhe, this is like the first big character I remember being like, oh, she's coming out. She was like beta released like in the beginning and people were waiting. Yeah, she had like a different name and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what the name is. I actually was talking with someone about it the other day, but I just remember being so excited because I was like, she's related to Shang-Yun.
Did we know at first that she was his auntie?
You know, I don't know if it was like canon, but they released that like video where Shang-Yun was fighting and Shenhe like showed up and was like, you need to get your temperature down. And as he walked away, he was like, wait, your name is Shenhe? Are you my auntie? And it like fades to black as he says auntie.
Would you remember this?
Oh, yeah. No, it was in her teaser trailer.
Her teaser. Okay.
Yeah. Were they fighting the Abyss Mages?
Yeah, it was an Abyss Mage.
I'll track it down and put it onto our site too. I probably just remember Feens telling me and I just went, okay, I believe you. This is kind of how that goes.
I feel like I've used the image for like screenshots of it a few times and things too. Like I love it.
It's really cute.
But what were your like first impressions of Shenhe besides me freaking out?
So I think around that time was, so right when I started Genshin, her story quest came out, or like the world quest associated with Shenhe, which we'll go into. And that introduced both Shenhe and Yunjin. And I remember accidentally starting it once I got into Leeway. I hadn't even finished the Leeway Archon quest. Oh wait, maybe I did. Either way, somehow it started and I was like, my jaw is on the floor. Who is this thickums cryo mommy? I mean, it was a similar reaction to when I first saw Lisa and she started flirting with us and I was like, oh my god. But I was like completely taken aback because I wasn't a part of the hype. I didn't know Shenhe was coming out or Shenhe had come out at that point. I was just trying to get to Inazuma for that Inkanomiya event for the cute shell catalyst that I never got.
Oh,
God.
I couldn't get to Inazuma in time.
I didn't realize that was limited. I totally forgot.
Yeah, and I was so mad because it is really, really good on Babs, especially if you use the what's the bubble, the pearl? I can't remember the artifact set. This is horrible of me. I'm the artifact gal.
The ocean-hued clam? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, the ocean-hued.
Of course, Brandon remembers the clam.
The clam. The
My inner lesbian just jumps out sometimes.
But yeah, seeing Shenhe and just taken aback. Like, one, you have silver hair, so you're like, okay, Shishomaru. And two, she's got big old titties and a big old booty and the hottest outfit. And she wants to kill everything. And I'm like, yes, step on me. Let's go.
I thought it was an indicator that the game is going to possibly get darker, which we hadn't seen a lot of at that point. Saw like a little bit of that with the Dainsleif quest when we actually encounter a dead person. And then, there was the dramatic battle for Liyue Harbor. And this is sort of the coda to that with Osial's wife, Beisht, at the end of Shenhe's Archon quest. So just like how dramatic that was, first of all, I loved that. But also just her whole story is very dark. And I was not expecting for someone who's basically a muzzled murderer to be a playable character. I mean, besides Child, but you know.
Hey. Yay.
Why are you saying, hey, it's true? It's true.
No.
It's true. He was going
actually, one of our
destroy a city.
listen to this. One of our fellow travelers actually messaged us this week on Instagram and said that they think Child is trying to take the Fatui down from the inside. And I was like, yes, you know it. Anyway, this isn't the Child episode, but it could be.
We had one. You had your chance.
We're gonna have
Had your
another
chance.
right now. Anyway, so
I think like when I first saw Shenhe, I was just like, oh my God, like that's a lot of boob. I think that was honestly my first impression. I just really love her too. I actually think her eyes are very beautiful. And I remember
gorgeous.
that being like, I think it was probably the start of my I need to collect them all kind of phase. So I was getting her regardless, or gonna try to get her regardless. But I don't know. I just really liked her, and I loved her like design with her pants, just to go back to our little fashion. But I loved her like design with her pants and things like that. And I just thought she was neat. She's a nice, tall lady.
a tall lady.
Love a tall lady.
And a cryo pole arm.
Yeah, I also love pole arms, so that probably
They
also
have
helped.
very fun mechanics. They're
Mhm.
also very fast.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
pole arm charge attack. You can't get up. It's just great.
So you guys were mentioning a little bit about like this darker side of Genshin and possibly like having this darker twist in the story. And I think a lot of that alludes back to Shenhe's tragic family upbringing.
Tragic is an understatement.
Abuse.
An
Also,
understatement.
Trigger warning for the entirety
Yeah.
of our community. We're going to be talking about childhood abuse in this and infanticide or attempted infanticide.
Yeah.
She's a badass bitch. You can't kill her.
Does that
No.
count though when you're having somebody else kill her?
Would assume so. Okay, it's still
Yeah.
murder in the first degree.
It's still-
even- Look, if someone can hire someone to murder their either wife or husband and still get charged with first degree murder, which they should, I would constitute this as first degree murder. As first degree
Mhm.
attempted infanticide.
Yeah, he put the hit out with a summoned demon god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he a
Yeah.
god or was he just a demon? Because I thought he just tricked the dad.
I think it was the remains of a god.
Yeah.
Aren't
Oh,
all
like
the gods just
corrupted?
demons?
I mean,
That's true.
the Ars Goetia
so-
would like to tell you something.
But
Knock, knock. It's demons.
yeah, so when she was 5 years old, her mother died, and we don't know how the mom died. I don't think they've revealed that.
I
But
think it was something like a disease that she was weak. And one of the reasons why her father resented her was for some reason her mother's death is in connection to Shenhe.
well, this is where it gets a little unclear to me, because we know that the mom died when she was 5, then the dad basically goes mad with grief and he disappears for a year, and then he comes back after a year after learning the secret art called fate transference, and that involves summoning this demonic force, which is referred to as a god or the remains of a god, or there's actually one place that refers to it as a Seelie, which I thought was strange, which is in her
Ooh.
character story, but then Cloud Retainer calls it a god, so it's sort of referred to as different things. But this thing that he summons that allegedly you can make a ritual sacrifice to bring someone back from the dead. And when he goes to do that, at first he wants to sacrifice himself. And he's like, I'll give my life for you to bring my wife back. And the demon sort of shakes his head and is like, no, I want your daughter. And then tells the father that Shenhe has some kind of horrible, like calamitous fate, and
Yeah.
that the energy, surrounding her, I guess, would make a better meal for it. And it actually tells the dad, or implies to the dad, that Shenhe may have had something to do with her mother's death.
Doesn't he say that she's born under like two different fates, the solitary star and the disastrous evil?
No. That's a Mooncarver who does that later.
Oh,
But the demon still recognizes that she has some kind of strange destiny that's very dark, and that she has just a very dark energy, and I guess would be a delicious snack. I mean, maybe it
Meanwhile,
could
the
see into
dad's
the
like,
future.
say less.
What does
Yeah,
Shenhe
yeah.
He was
taste
like, I'm packing her bags right now. You can have her. Do whatever you want.
Absolutely. The dad's like, all right, you had me as soon as you pointed the finger.
Yeah.
I'm off the hook.
She is yours.
Let me go grab my little 6-year-old for you to,
Gobble up.
eat right
Gobble,
up.
gobble.
Yeah.
A little salt, a little pepper. He'll be all set.
Yeah.
Char a little bit. She's a bit too cold.
There is one little thing we know about, like, possibly that's, like, telling us what happened to Shenhe's mother. And there's a book called The Records of a Changing Village. And in it, there's a story about, like, this family who kind of lived off the beaten path in the Exorcist village. And it talks about how the mother died of some, like, unknown illness. And they had a young daughter. And the dad kind of disappeared and went crazy for a little bit. And then they talk about him, like, hanging himself in the end. They don't really fill in a lot of the middle bits, though. So a lot of people think that must be Shenhe. But that's, like, the closest we get to really knowing.
I think it would be correct because the fate of that missing father is the exact fate of Shenhe's father, which we'll get into, and why he may have killed himself. Okay,
yeah, because he did end up regretting what he did. So
yeah, another trigger warning: we will talk about suicide and completed suicide. Lots of triggers in this episode.
There's a lot of triggers in a lot of episodes, man. Genshin is a giant trigger.
Just think of it as a precursor to Fontaine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fontaine needs, like, the biggest red flag trigger warning. Stamp. Yeah. Like, everything that will go wrong has gone wrong.
As long as I can, fuck a dragon, that's fine.
Oh.
Not yet.
Not yet, but soon.
I mean, you can definitely enter one and have fun inside of one. So
no. Anyway,
back to Shenhe and her stupid dad.
Shenhe and her stupid dad.
Whereas Cloud Retainer would go Shenhe.
Shenhe.
Anyway, Brandon, you were telling us a little bit about Shenhe's upbringing.
Oh, yeah. So, she's 6 years old. Her dad's been away running around like a loon for a year, and he comes back and thinks that he can make a sacrifice to bring his wife back. So he, summons this demon. He brings little 6-year-old Shenhe to this cave and pieces out and says some really nasty things to her, like, you're a cursed child, and at least maybe I can get my wife back, and then leaves while she's in the cave with this demon. And her weird cursed fate mixed with her disposition mixed with what we find out is this born urge to murder
homicidal urges.
It all just sort of culminates into this energy around her, and it helps protect her, and she engages in this fight with this demon that lasts for days on end and doesn't stop until she is found by none other than our favorite bird, Cloud Retainer.
Wait, no, that's not completely true.
Yeah.
Cloud Retainer finds her, but it wasn't to save Shenhe. Shenhe killed the god.
Not before that.
No. So it's weird because they imply in one part of the lore, like I think in her story quest, they make it sound like she defeated the god's wrath or whatever on her own after getting her vision. But what it really says is that she gets her vision during this days-long fight, and the vision definitely turns the tide in the battle. But then when you're doing the Archon quest, Cloud Retainer actually says that she came, she found Shenhe while she was still engaged in this fight, and that Cloud Retainer actually takes care of the monster. But then when we sort of express like, oh, so you saved her, Cloud Retainer says, well, I stepped in, but I think it was clear that she probably would have been victorious over the monster anyway, even if I hadn't.
Which is insane. How old was she again? 6?
Yeah,
6 years old. Yeah.
I can't do that now.
Is it in her story quest or one of those story quests that it's mentioned that the only weapon she had was her late mother's dagger?
Her mom's exorcism dagger. Yep.
I will say, it feels like her mom really had her back that day. I mean, she'd be dead, but she didn't want what happened to her daughter to happen.
Well, you're right. And it's interesting because it's like this whole like exorcist family too, like
making deals with demons.
Right. And it's almost like the mom was the one who was like, no, I'm not letting my soul like come back. Like, I want my daughter to live. Like,
right.
I don't know if exorcists can do that, but I like to believe they could.
Yeah, it would make sense if they know a way to keep their spirit around after death. That's what they deal with on a daily basis.
To go back to the idea of fate transference reminds me a lot. And travelers, those who have watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood will understand. I think alchemy is going to be the theme of this season, like KFC and buttholes was last season. There's this idea of equivalent exchange, and kind of the start of that show is these two brothers, Edward and Alphonse, trying to resurrect their mom, trying to perform equivalent exchange, which is a similar, like, to resurrect someone who has died, you give a soul in return type of a thing, but they fuck it up and like legit get fucked up. But that's really interesting that like this idea of fate transference or an equivalent exchange in order to bring someone back from the dead comes up, because that is something that, like, as we talked in the Albedo episode with the Philosopher's Stone, resurrecting the dead is one of the things the Philosopher's Stone can do. Maybe he was gone and talked to gold. That's very far-fetched, but
I hate her.
Then you should hate her more if she did this.
I know. Every time someone brings up a new fact about gold, I'm like, I hate her.
That wasn't even a fact. It was speculation.
It's a fact now.
It's circumstantial at best.
It's fact because it allows me to hate her more.
Okay. Well.
As if you needed a reason.
Exactly.
I always need a reason. Why not? Just give me a reason. That was pink. That's what she said. That's what I said. But yeah, so Shenhe defeats Demon Seelie God.
With the help of Cloud Retainer. And then
with the help of Cloud Retainer.
Cloud Retainer basically adopts her immediately.
Like, you know what? You're a really special kid. I'm gonna take you with me.
And isn't the whole thing too that like Cloud Retainer only found Shenhe because like basically she smelled the demon?
Yes. Yeah, she smelled the god's remains.
I hate that.
Why?
What's that smell like?
Yeah,
some KFC.
Oh my god.
Some KFC. I said KFC. What the fuck is wrong with me? KFC and buttholes.
That was her radar was just going crazy with the KFC and the butthole.
She thought Alice was around.
Yeah. Is that what corrupted gods smell like? Is KFC and buttholes?
I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Can I make a hot take real quick? KFC mac and cheese sucks.
Yeah.
Like every time I try it again, I'm just disappointed again.
Yeah, I've never had a good mac and cheese from there. I've had a really good popcorn chicken, but
they don't even got that anymore. They call it nuggets now.
I know. This is so rude. The audacity.
KFC needs Alice to tell them what to do.
I'll come right the fuck. I will resurrect dinosaurs, and I'm deathly afraid of dinosaurs, which is odd because I love dragons. But I will sick those dinosaurs.
KFC is taking note right now of who they'll never sponsor.
You know, that's fine because Pizza Hut got our back, yo.
They're owned by the same company. Anywho, so then Cloud Retainer decides that she's going to adopt little Shenhe, similar to how she had adopted Ganyu, right?
Yeah. Well,
and
they were the same, not the same age.
Definitely not the same age.
And who else did she adopt?
Well, I guess
those were all adepti children too, though, right? Or somewhat adepti children.
Not Yao Yao.
Yeah, that's true. Yao Yao isn't.
And Yao Yao's more Madame Ping's adoptee, but Cloud Retainer, I think, is jealous of her.
Yes, you're right.
Cloud Retainer just
I mean, she's cute. I mean, why wouldn't you be?
I mean, you're right. She is so cute. And Cloud Retainer was like, "Here's Yugui. I need this, not Street Word Rambler."
Yeah. This is gonna save you. Yeah,
one
so
has
Yanfei
made
is
something better than the other.
That's literally her, though.
I think one of the funniest parts, though, is when you're in Shenhe's story and this relationship with Cloud Retainer, because we're getting to know who Shenhe is during this whole thing of this competition of finding materials to rebuild the Jade Chamber, and this mysterious girl is walking around. But every once in a while, and as we get to know her, we see like Cloud Retainer is just like up on the corner, like kind of like looking over, like, how's my kid doing on their first day of school?
It's so true. She's such like a stalker.
Yeah. And my favorite part, in the most Cloud Retainer-ish way, at the very end, she basically says, like, hey, you want to see like pictures of Shenhe when she was a baby? And like, she's like, oh, mom. But
She
like,
did
Cloud
this-
Retainer is so pissed. Like, you don't want me your little friend's stories about you when you were an awkward kid.
I
No,
thought that was
Mom.
Ganyu
No,
because
it's
she.
both of them.
Oh, it was both. Okay, because I remember Cloud Retainer being like a chubby little Ganyu, and I'm like, chubby baby.
And Ganyu literally whips out a baseball bat like she's the freaking trailblazer and is like,
It's like, what the fuck do you say, mom?
put those pictures away.
It's like, I will burn them and your life down.
She's a proud mom.
She is,
Mhm.
but only for her daughters
She's not like just a foster mom like Alice. Like she actually adopted the children.
and
Yeah.
raised them.
She wasn't just collecting them.
Yeah.
Right.
Alice should
cared
learn a
about them.
thing from Cloud Retainer.
Mhm.
Alice could learn a lot from
She's too
any
busy
other
cashing those
parent.
checks from the government.
Fuck.
Is she even cashing checks from the government? Albedo sells all of his paintings to pay for the damage she's done in Mondstadt.
Albedo's the government.
Why do
Albedo's
you-
the government.
Why do you think she's fostering him?
She's like, finally, someone who can pay my bills.
First of all, you have to have them on your property and with you to consider it fostering. And she's MIA. Cloud Retainer is in her
Fostering.
abode.
Yeah, you know, it's really cute. In one of Shenhe's birthday letters, I think it was this past year's, she says something too. She's like, the first one, she's like, Master wouldn't let me cook. And she's referring to like Cloud Retainer. And then this year, she's like, Master cooked me a bountiful meal in her abode. And she even invited some of the other adepti. And we had a great time. And it felt so good. And I'm like, this is literally someone writing about their mom to me right now.
A
She's like,
6-year-old.
my mom made me the best sandwich for lunch. She even cut it in half.
Cheese.
But also
Mommy cut
Shenhe,
off all the crust.
Shenhe's diet though, like she only eats flowers.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm going to
Which
make
is
this
an
reference.
Adepti thing, correct? Like,
It's
that's
an Adepti thing, but also she's the dragon fucking warrior.
Oh my god.
oh
The Kung Fu Panda reference.
over my head.
You've never seen Kung Fu Panda?
No.
my God.
What? Brandon,
It
have
is-
you seen it?
No.
Oh my God, we're forcing you all to watch it. It is it's a love song to kung fu movies.
You
It
two
really
watch
is.
a lot of animated movies and shows, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, my dad likes them.
I feel like
So-
every episode you're like, this is from that anime, this is from that Disney movie, this is from that whatever.
Look, not when I was younger, actually, like only a year ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. My dad was watching Princess Diaries marathon. We liked shit, man. I don't know. We like weird shit in this household.
No, that's great.
Um,
I'm not hating. I'm just
I will
observing.
there is a reference to the dragon warrior can only survive on soft dewdrops off of teeth leaves and the wisdom of the universe. Or something along those lines. I fucked that up real bad.
Damn, that dragon must be skinny as hell.
Exactly.
Well, apparently, like when Shenhe goes ahead and eats all this, like she tries out all this food. She basically is like, "Hey, I'm living my life and I want to try out leeway." So she orders all this food, hardly eats it, but then goes to Boo Boo Pharmacy to buy violet grass and like a couple other things. And like, you know, she's like, "Can I have a half pound each?" And the guy who's manning the pharmacy at the time like hands it over, and he's like, "It sounds more like you're ordering a salad." And then she just like eats it all up, and they're like, was that good? She's like, no, it's not. It's not good
Well,
at all.
Trigger warning, we are talking about eating disorders in this episode as well.
Yes. But the question is, as we'll reference this a little later when it comes to like Cloud Retainer's upbringing of Shenhe, but she does a ritual that basically makes her an adeptal apprentice. Do you think her choosing that path kind of makes her only really want to eat that?
You think it turned her stomach into a bird's stomach?
I mean,
I think it's just what she sees, so she's just doing as
I think,
as
yeah,
a
because there
video.
wasn't anything else to eat where she was
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
abode.
didn't she have a moment where was she talking about like, I think this was the bartender event, but if you make Shenhe a glass of, I think whatever it prompts you to make, she expresses how she loves the taste of the very first flower that sprouts from snow.
How does she know that? How does she know
Because
which
she
flower is
did
the
that.
first one to sprout?
Because she's living on the mountain and
The
watching
Deptal
them.
magic.
There are so many places on the mountain. So many.
I mean, but if you're looking at the is it Chingsha flowers?
Oh, the white flowers?
Yeah.
Chinsen or something.
Chinsen flower. Yeah, whatever the name is. That flower, I think that's what she references. Because at the top of like the mountain where Cloud Retainer's abode is. I was about to say Adobe.
Adobe Fire.
Not correct. But those flowers sprout pretty much at the very top. So that would make sense.
Yeah.
You don't think it's a sweet flower?
From what
No.
she said, it was bitter.
It's fucking mint. Let's be honest.
Mint that grows everywhere. It's not a sweet
Fucking
flower.
mint.
I found mint on top of dragon spine.
Hey, look at this.
I've
found
got
some
mint fontaine, too.
Fucking mint. We found some mint under the water. Fucking mint. I'm sorry. That's just so stupid.
You know, you were mentioning too something about like Shenhe like getting the tea or whatever, or getting the flowers to eat or whatever. Doesn't at the end of like her quest where we're like rebuilding the Jade Chamber, doesn't she like fight a guy because he's like mad at what she's like doing or something? Like I feel like it also had to do with the drink, and everyone's like, "No, calm down, Shenhe. We're not gonna fight him today."
I think it was this when she was gonna try something from One Min Restaurant?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. It's been a hot minute.
She was ready to fight that guy.
She
Yeah, she was.
She was like,
was
I'm
just
gonna
like,
kill you. It's like, you're mad that I don't like what you like? I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, she goes around and like even in the beginning when we first see Shenhe in that world quest or story quest, she's being like bothered by these couple guys who are just like, give us all your money. But they're like trying to get her to like buy something from them, like ask her for help so this way they can get her money. So they're not very good thieves. But she's like, I don't have any money. And they're like, well, yes, you do. We've watched you. You go to every restaurant and order all this food and only eat a bite. So someone who's that like wasteful has to have a lot of money.
Mhm.
Nah, she just
She
Why
got
you
her
watching me
allowance
eat?
from Cloud Retainer.
Yeah.
She's like, my mommy gave me $10 today.
Cloud Retainer is just going to what is the place called? The Golden House, and just stealing.
Right.
Just like, you know what? Morax, owes me. I'm gonna just take a handful
Yeah. A
and
beak
throw
full.
it. Yeah.
A wingful. Just a wingspan.
Speaking of homicidal tendencies, I have a problem with you, so I'm going to kill you. It's like, back when she got adopted by Cloud Retainer, the Adepti quickly realized that she was born with an urge to murder people and just has this weird malevolent energy. And at first, I know there was one point where we were all kind of like, wait, was she evil, or was that just something that everyone assumed because of the storyline? But it is actually confirmed by Cloud Retainer that she was born with bloodlust and homicidal urges. And she was able to sort of pick up on that just by reading her vibe as a 6-year-old, which I thought was really dark, because to me, that's just like screaming like future serial killer, like when
Bathe in his blood.
Now!
Bathe in his blood.
Bathe in his blood, indeed. You know how Cloud Retainer is able to read that she has this bloodlust and this homicidal urge, and this is sort of further backed up by Mooncarver, who does a reading, sort of like, I like to pretend it's like a tarot reading, even though that's probably not what it is. He reads her fate and discovers that she is marked by these 2 different readings, or these 2 different fate descriptions. I don't know what exactly they are or how they're doing it.
So there are 2 fates that Mooncarver kind of denotes from Shenhe. One is called Solitary Star, which kind of infers like a solitary existence, like no connections to anyone, including family or friends. And then the second fate he discerns is the Disastrous Evil, which is like a fate of hardship and peril. So it's kind of a shit situation where you're gonna be alone. aka Shenhe, is going to be alone and have a hard life and constantly be in peril, which is kind of interesting because Mooncarver does say, Tiff, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So Mooncarver actually says that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity, consumed by malevolent energy, and that she's actually prone to harm other people. So because she's actually this dangerous, Mooncarver is like, well, we got to do something about this. And they Mooncarver, like, I assume, like, does a little spell on it too, but wraps like these red ropes around her, which is what we still see her wearing today. But because those red ropes are holding back all of her homicidal instincts, it's actually making her like emotionless. So it's kind of like she's getting like a side effect of it that's just kind of making her like, whatever, I don't care. But it's working. So yay for that.
So
and
she's
just
like-
to go back to, yeah, it's like an antidepressant. But
Well,
just
it's
even
not
to
even
bring it back
that.
to when B was saying, like, we all thought, like, is this actually real? I think that actually goes back to the first season when I started a very bad rumor that that the ropes mean nothing and didn't actually do anything, and she wasn't really like, it wasn't holding anything back, which was my crazy little world that I lived in. It was totally wrong. But because she has a dream in one of her trailers, she's dreaming of herself, basically like crying in a corner, and she wakes up and Cloud Retainer's like, oh, another nightmare, make sure you keep your ropes on. And she's just sitting here like looking at them, and it's like, well, if she take her ropes off to go to sleep, she's only dreaming about herself as a child, is it actually doing anything? But
Right.
yeah, that was all a lie. It was all big.
Tiff's that
Sorry about it.
person where you're like, don't let the person in a horror movie, they're like, don't let the person out of the room. Don't let the person out of the room. And Tiff's like, aw, but they're being so nice about it. They said they just want to use the bathroom.
They just said they're gonna come back.
And they said they'll be right back. I'm gonna just let them out. Then everyone's like,
Also regarding the ropes, doesn't at the point where when we're with Shenhe and she meets, the uncle's name again?
Bingjun.
Mingjung. When she meets that and he asks her, like, aren't you angry about what your father did to you? And she's like, I feel nothing.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
literally nothing.
Yeah, this is during the Archon quest, which is, many, many years later, and she's going back to the village again. And at this point, her father's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The village is in ruins, basically, and
Mhm.
everyone's gone.
And the uncle is actually like a best friend of the father. And he feels very badly and has his whole life that he wasn't able to stand up to her father and stop him from feeding her to a demon.
Yeah, where was the whole fucking exorcist village when all this was happening? What
apparently
the
just watching.
Well, he probably just knew because he was the best friend, but I would like to think the rest of the village didn't know
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he took
you know
her
what?
up into the mountains,
Yeah.
right?
You're right. I'm getting confused because there's another side of this story that's a legend that Yunjin tells us that is a part of the opera that her father wrote. So
Yeah.
during this whole quest line, that's also going on. That's because it's also when we meet her. And she's telling us about the opera, which is the divine damsel in devastation. And basically it's Shenhe's story, but there are
Mhm.
some things that are a little bit different. So like it starts off with like they were a loving couple that lived together in this prosperous village, and the wife was actually captured by the monster. And the monster said, like, I'm gonna kill all of you unless you give me a child. So the little girl volunteered and, had her little exorcist blade and was like, I'm going to take care of him, and goes up to like go fight. Like this is in front of the whole village. So they've seen the whole thing. So, and then because like she fought this monster and won, the Adepti were like taken aback by her, and poof, she was taken out of the mortal world, never to come back.
Yeah.
So that's the pretty side. How folklore changes everything.
I love too that Yunjin, as she's sort of describing the divine damsel of devastation, and then she's traveling with us and Shenhe, and she starts putting the pieces together that
Yeah.
of what really happened and figuring out that Shenhe is the divine damsel, and she's kind of like, oh damn, that's a lot darker than we thought.
Yeah. Yeah, she
And
kind of, and she's like, I gotta change this opera. This isn't
Yeah.
right.
which her father wrote it too. It makes me wonder like how her dad knew all that. Like,
Well, she makes it sound like it's like a legend that had been passed down in their like
Oh.
village, which couldn't have been passed down for very long, but still. Well, I mean, I guess that we don't know how old Shenhe is. So
They all died after.
well, it's very confusing because like the village is like quote unquote in shambles, right? But at the same time, like Shang Yun has a voice line about Shenhe where he says that all of the village elders were like so excited to welcome Shenhe back, and they got her a bunch of gifts and stuff, and then they couldn't find her. But like there must be like a new version of the village somewhere if the village elders are still around, like with gifts.
Yeah, I feel like the village where she was given to a demonic monster perhaps had some bad luck associated to it.
Well, do you think that because in the Changing Records of the Village book, or whatever, the Records of a Changing Village book, it says that like they lived on like the far side of the mountain too. So maybe while they were in the Exorcist like clan, they kind of lived off the beaten path. So maybe like their little baby area of the village was destroyed and the rest of the village is still around. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, that is confusing.
There's like a few logistical questions that come into play once you get past like the sad, depressing yet inspirational story.
Or maybe they just relocated.
Yeah, that's
altogether.
true too.
But I just love that these ropes are like her, psychopath, like serial killer muzzle. And it's sort of like she's like running around Teyvat like Dexter up in here. Like just, like Cloud Retainer is like the ghost of Dexter's dad. Keeping her from murdering innocent people, basically. But I would love it if, she was facing a big bad and Cloud Retainer was like, you know what we need, and just took the ropes off.
Yeah.
And, like nudged her forward. Go get it.
That's the end battle of the game.
There's a part in this quest where, after the Jade Chamber is rebuilt and kind of brought up to the sky, Beisht comes back for like, I guess to kind of revenge on her husband. So like there's this big battle in this fight and we have to go down in the water. Like Shenhe jumps into a whirlpool and we follow her and we're fighting and stuff. And she comes back up and there starts to be this like ginormous tsunami and stuff. And she like has this moment where she freezes it. It's really nice. Like most of Genshin's cutscenes, they're just really cinematic and very beautiful. And like she does this whole thing and I was waiting. It's like, this is the perfect moment. Take off the ropes. Kill the monster in the sea that's trying to kill us. Like, you just take them off. Just do it. Get rid of it. Why not?
But no.
Which makes you wonder, like, how powerful, if she can freeze a tsunami with the flick of her wrist, what could she do if she took the ropes off? Yeah. I also love it that this is like a recurring thing where we keep seeing characters do way more powerful things in like cutscenes or in the manga, for example, than they do in the game.
It's like plate of ice that's like 3 feet thick that's avoiding Diluc's like fire chains.
Even the same cutscene where Shenhe freezes the tsunami, right before that, Ningguang is like also fighting Beisht and is from the Jade Chamber, and she like summons all of these geobolts that like cover like the whole sky basically.
Yeah. Why doesn't she actually have that? I mean, god damn it.
It's like they all have these superpowered attacks that are not unlocked yet. Like, where is our ultimate?
No ultimate ultimates for us. They can't trust us with that power.
Yeah, no, give it to us, because we're at level 90. We're not at an even number. This is bullshit. I want a final ascension.
Give us a level 100 perk.
Yes.
But
blow up all of Teyvat.
Yes.
Earlier, you guys were talking about like her becoming like being blessed with like the adeptal powers and everything like that. Isn't that like when her hair changes color too? She originally had black hair, not like the white hair. Isn't that when they like comb her hair with like the special Adeptus comb?
So point, I think, while Shenhe is in care of her mom, Cloud Retainer offers her this jade comb and said, if you brush your hair thrice, you will commit yourself to like the path of adeptal apprenticeship. And she says basically like, if you want to cut ties with the mortal world, brush your hair thrice. And so each pass turns her hair silver/white. And the first pass is supposed to like basically like uproot the anxieties of your human form. And the second pass is forsake joy and sorrow. And then the final pass is the determination to walk the path of adeptal apprenticeship, to practice the arts of the adepti. And this is one of the reasons why she doesn't age the same way as other humans do, because she's technically human, but she's an adeptal apprentice now. And her hair, being that it's silver, shows that she's taken that path.
Which is so funny because I feel like initially when I look at Shenhe, I'm like, oh, she has like silver blue hair like Shang Yun. And then I find out she actually had black hair the whole time. I'm like, wait a second. What?
That was how you were pulling the whole family together, and then
Literally.
it's been shattered.
And it's interesting too because like, you know, Shang Yun seems to have like a high regard for Shenhe, and he openly admits that like he'd like to get to know her better, but she's hard to get a hold of. But Shenhe, on the other hand, wants like nothing to do with her family except for Shang Yun. She's like worried about him, and she's like, I'll hang out with him, but no one else. No elders.
Is that in a voice line or?
Yes, that's her about Shang Yun.
Oh, okay.
She's very much like, yeah, I have a lot of intrigue about this boy, but I'm not going to meet up with everyone else. Like, F them, basically. He said, it's so hard for me to believe I have living relatives in the world. If he has any difficulties with his training, I'm more than willing to enlighten him and help him. However, he'll need to meet me alone in the mountains. The family is way too sociable.
She's almost starts to get this. Well, I don't think she's like, you know, booming with emotions now, but as like she kind of learns that she's able to have some emotions, like she even like calls us her friend and says she wants to stay in Leeway because she likes the people, and like she's kind of getting past that like hard exterior of I don't like anything, which was partly because of her ropes, but probably also, I mean, Cloud Retainer is not the most mushiest of people either. So it's not like she was like doting on her, like she wasn't doting on her like she was doting on Yao Yao, you know, so she could be that nature versus nurture type of deal as well.
It's very cute when Cloud Retainer is stalking us while we're hanging out with Shenhe, and just she keeps saying, you know, take care of Shenhe, she's special. And, you know, also I think just making sure Shenhe is socializing okay, because she knows that even though to a degree her humanity has been sort of numbed, that she is still a human. And even when she does the magic to freeze the tsunami, she has like a flashback of Cloud Retainer telling her, you know, once you reach a point where you can use your powers for the good of humanity, that's going to be your time to sort of return to humanity and to basically hanging out with humans. So I think it really is sort of like one of you said, her first day at school, where she's pushing her out the door a little bit. So I definitely think her introduction is a very like transitional period in her life. So I hope they give her more storyline. I feel like there's just an endless flood of characters and we never get to follow up with some of the old characters. But I hope she gets a follow-up where we continue to see her socializing more and sort of becoming more human. Although it's sort of tricky because if she was born a psychopath, which is sort of to me what they're describing with her character, then you don't ever want her to really you don't ever really want those ropes to come off, and it's like how happy is she really going to be? But
you don't want to give this Ted Bundy superpowers
without a muzzle, right?
Exactly.
Also, just an interesting little tidbit too, like about Mama Cloud Retainer in this situation. She like basically gave Shenhe an outfit that if you look at her from behind, she looks like Cloud Retainer. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever like looked at it, but her like little like tassel thing that hangs and like covers her butt a little bit kind of looks like a tail, and both of her arms also have like bigger sleeves that fall off in the back that look like they could be wings.
Maybe it's one of her old outfits.
Awesome.
I didn't think
from
of
like
that.
when she was human. Yeah, she's like, oh, do you want to look just like mommy did? Wait, so is Cloud Retainer a pageant mom too?
Probably, but she's doing it out of love. But also, I've just been too mesmerized by Shenhe's glorious booties to see that. But now that you pointed out, holy shit.
Crazy to think about.
You know, Cloud Retainer is not a pageant mom. You know what she is? She's a mini-me mom. She wants little mini-me's, and that's why she's so pissed that Yao Yao is under the care of Streetwear Rambler.
And looks nothing like either of them. Yao Yao is just living her best individual, independent life.
Exactly.
And speaking of Yao Yao, Yao Yao likes Shenhe. Like, she says that she really wants to help Shenhe assimilate to, like, the human world and to Liyue Harbor, but she's really not sure how. And she suggests that that's kind of, like, Ganyu's job, is to help Shenhe assimilate. And Yao Yao's like, I want to ask, like, Ganyu if I can help her, but I don't know how to ask her because Ganyu is sleep deprived and stressed.
Ganyu's also the big sister of this situation.
Yeah, I love it that Ganyu is like, oh yeah, I've heard that when Shenhe gets really angry, she just destroys everything around her. Maybe she's just bored. Do you think that I could maybe give her some work to do to keep her busy?
She's trying to pass off her chores.
Yeah, she has too much work. She's like, if you have that kind of time where you're going to throw a fit when you get, when you feel any emotions, then you just don't have enough to do.
Oh my God.
Damn, I don't have enough to do, y'all.
Which, while we're on the topic of, like, other characters and what they have to say about Shenhe, there are a few other characters outside of, like, the Cloud Retainer disciples and Shang Yun that have things to say about Shenhe. Like, Hu Tao thinks that she's gorgeous and basically wants to know her skincare routine. Like, she's like, I want to know what she does to look this beautiful. How do I look like that? Like, she almost, like, looks up to her beauty.
Only
which is
eating violet grass.
Right? But also, isn't that, like, such, like, a weird thing for Hu Tao? It feels almost out of character.
She wasn't, like, wishing for her death so she could bury her.
Well,
She's like,
she
well, if
probably
I give
knows
her a
that she
coupon-
can't die.
You don't think she can die?
I don't think she can. Or at least it would take a very fucking hard motherfucker to kill this bitch.
But she's human still. Like, we gotta remember
But she's on the adeptal path. She picked up a man.
She wet?
Remember to fucking
she picks up the prostrate that they're looking for the Jade Chamber, and they're like, wow, this is really heavy, what are we gonna do? And she's just like, I got it. And, like, the Traveler and Paimon are like, you're gonna be able to carry this shit by yourself? Like, they're shook. And she's just like, one arm carrying it over, walking over to Liyue.
That's because she's
very
has a
strong
ghost helping her.
What ghost?
The ghost from her burst.
Oh, so there's just like little mini ghost Shenhes.
Yeah,
helping lift it out.
Yeah,
it's actually Casper.
She's calling on the exorcists.
Jesus Christ.
Which is also, I gotta say, it's also very interesting about Shenhe because, like, she apparently never had any exorcist training, right? Like, she's like, I never had exorcist training. I'm an adeptal trainer, blah, 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 blah. But then her one idol animation is, like, very similar to Shang Yun's, which is supposed to be, like, his exorcist magical power things working its way out. So there's a lot of questions, too, about, like, do you think that the exorcists are using almost an adeptal magic to do the exorcisms and, like, suggesting that Shenhe's burst is similar because the exorcist power is pulled from the adeptal powers? Like, you know what does that make sense?
I would think it could be the kind of the other way. Like, if you're born an exorcist, then it's in you whether or not you trained and learned it. Either way. So I would imagine that that coming out is more of, I might not be able to use this all the way, or I've never officially learned how to, but it's here, so I'm going to use it. I would think that it would be more of that side than that the rest of the exorcists are somehow connected to the adepti.
Maybe the exorcists have a little bit of adeptus blood in their lineage.
Or maybe exorcism is part of, like, just a part of the adeptal art, and maybe that's why Cloud Retainer and, like, the adepti looked at Shenhe and was like, yo, she's got the conditioning and, like, you know, the know-how to start practicing the adeptal arts.
I do feel like they have to be related in some way. And my only reason for that is because, like, first off, and I'm sorry, I know I'm referencing a lot of Shang Yun, but Shang Yun calls Shenhe, like, an adept exorcist. So, like, is he's saying that, like, she has adeptal exorcist powers, or that she's just good at it? I don't know. And
I mean, I thought adept was just, like, above a novice, but below an expert.
I mean, but that sounds better than Shang Yun. He can't even exorcise a demon. They don't come near him.
Yeah, because they're afraid of his yang energy if he doesn't got a fucking popsicle.
But that's my other question is, don't you think Shang Yun's whole yang energy thing is kind of similar to Shenhe's homicidal rage? Like, they've
Uh,
never said that he would do something dangerous, but he's also
I
never
think
been given the opportunity to.
Uh,
I
that's
him
that's him about
overheating
to
and her
fucking
murdering an entire
bust.
village might be
Sean
different.
Yoon has
Yeah.
been known to he destroyed the Wanmin restaurant one day, and he had to apologize and come work off the damages he did at the restaurant.
But did he murder everybody who was there?
Well, I'm not saying it's the exact same, and
I mean,
that's
it's
why
like-
Shenhe is very special.
I bet Shenhe wishes she could have a popsicle instead of ropes bound to her soul.
Well, but that's what I'm saying though. Is it's similar. I'm not saying it's the same. But do you think? I mean, look at her father. Her father.
Me and Brandon are gonna find every way to show you how this is.
Well,
not
it
the
just
same.
seems like exorcists have this way of going way too nuclear. Even look at her father. Do you think that's a trait amongst the exorcists, and Shenhe just got the really shitty end of that stick?
So is everybody, if you're born in it's not like Shang Yun's an exorcist, his parents are, and everybody is it's a family trait. You don't,
Yes.
you're born right into it.
Yeah, it's a village of exorcists.
How many things do they need to exorcise?
I mean, have you seen that one fucking place? It's covered in ghosts.
But it's one tiny little place that we've never seen. Well,
The
they should go to Inazuma.
They
Get
should.
them over to Surumi Island.
Get them
There
to
we go.
Inkanomiya.
Jing Shou should have brought Shang Yun during the Iridori Festival, but he didn't bring his boyfriend because his dad didn't even know he was going. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Well, it's also, we could say that in order to practice the art of exorcism in Genshin, perhaps they need something to off-put malevolent energy that they come in contact with. And maybe this is kind of the unfortunate side of that. So maybe
the
it can
kids
be
have
very
gotten fucked up.
Yeah, because it's not of their true intention. I mean, I don't think Shang Yun, and I don't even think Shenhe want to kill and or combust, but this is just something that kind of happens, and it is just these two exorcists. So there might be something to be said about it being tied, whether it be blood or perhaps it's through just the art of exorcism itself.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does make sense because if you think about what they're doing as exorcists, it is a little bit similar. And I can see how you're drawing in adeptal powers into it because it is a little bit similar to Zhao, that whole crew who are adepti, right? And they are basically going after something similar to what Shenhe fought, which are the remnants of dead gods that are malevolent, and cleansing them to that, and that comes at a big price that ultimately drives a lot of them mad. So I think there is a fair connection there.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about her fate, and I'm gonna make another fucking animated movie reference, but I think she's changing her fate. No one's gonna get that. Anyway,
It sounded like you were gonna say the Forrest Gump line about the captain guy.
oh,
Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
you got legs. No, wait.
He got no legs out.
No, at the end of the movie, he gets legs.
Yeah, he
Oh,
does.
that's
It's
true.
Like
prosthetics.
Lieutenant Dan, you have legs now. No, I was gonna say what would you do if you could change your fate? I can't even do a Scottish accent at the moment. I'm.
Oh, brave.
Yes,
10
thank
points.
you. Yes.
Yay.
So her fate was to be told you're gonna be solitary, you're gonna be evil, you're gonna do all that. It's basically a villain's origin story. Yet in the bartending event, the cutest little event, she comes all the way from Leeway to have a drink at Angel Share. And when we ask her why, she says, well, because we're friends. And that just broke my fucking heart. She's had a great mom, but she's never had friends. She's never been able to
yeah.
be with people. And this is kind of her suddenly being with people. Yes, now that you're using your evil murder hobo powers for good and for the good of humanity, your fate, this idea of you being solitary and evil and having these, curse of calamity upon you is kind of melting away with the fact that she's just being around people again.
Wait, did you say murder homo powers?
Murder hobo. Murder hobo. Oh my god. The D&D thing. Murder hobo.
I was like, damn, she lives with Cloud Retainer. She's not homeless. Like, why are you calling her a hobo?
It's just what you call people who play D&D and kill everything in sight, regardless of what your DM will tell you. I'm not mad, Eric.
Oh no!
I'm calling the fuckers out when I see it.
We're sorry for your call out.
Don't fucking kill my NPCs.
There was also one other kind of interesting fact I thought I found about Shenhe, and it was actually about the Calamity Queller, which is Shenhe's signature weapon. It's gorgeous. It's a blue pole arm, matches her fit very well.
I have 2.
Al. Al stole mine. Anyway, I think I got Yelan's that time instead, maybe.
Which is still fucking amazing. That's a better bow, and you should put it on Child.
No, Child has his bow.
Yeah, but that
Yari has Yelan's bow. Oh no, the silence. I'm scared. Was that
I'm trying to think of would that actually be good on him, or is there something better that we could get him for you?
No.
Never mind. Continue.
He's living his best life. Way. The Calamity Queller, a few interesting notes about it is that it's made of materials that aren't of this world, just like the Cinnabar spindle. Interesting. Why are all these random I'm sorry, not like the Cinnabar spindle, but also like the Cinnabar spindle, but like Hu Tao's weapon, which is also made of Cinnabar. Apparently, it's very confusing. Lots of not of this world weapons, but it's interesting because the Calamity Queller, basically a person whose job was to exorcise evil many, many moons ago, found this crazy stone that wasn't of this world, had these people who they call tribes people from the craggy mountains make a weapon out of it. And this weapon was handed down to a lot of people who basically all died bad deaths. And one of them, the last one to use it before we apparently get it in game, was a Yaksha who also died with it. So they're basically the Calamity Queller went missing with the Yaksha that yielded it. And so that means that one of the Yakshas was a yielder of the Calamity Queller. And we know it's not Zhao because he's alive.
Wait, but we do know which Yaksha it was because they said they went missing. And all the other ones, other than Zhao, is confirmed deceased.
No, the one that went missing was at the bottom of the chasm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do mention the chasm in the description of the Calamity Queller. That's where the person who was supposed to exorcise evil found the stone that made the Calamity Queller. So it's interesting because it's
so it could have been Bosacius's.
Yeah.
Bosacius.
And we know that so that could have been made out of whatever the sun chariot was.
Yeah, because of the craggy mountains.
Which is why it's out of this world.
The mountain people came and took pieces of it when it fell out of the sky.
Did we just crack a fucking Genshin theory?
I think that it's possible. Still, I think there has to be some threads that are closed up still.
Yeah.
Because we don't know for certain that it's the Sun Chariot because they found the stone in the chasm and then brought it to the craggy mountain people. But I definitely think it's a possibility for sure.
I wonder what they mean by craggy mountain, because the only time I've ever heard about craggy mountains is in reference to Scotland.
I mean, maybe it's not even of this world either. Who knows?
Maybe.
The chasm area is a craggy mountainous area.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what is the definition of a craggy mountain? It's the Smoky
a mountain
Mountain
that sort of juts out sharply and is not smooth.
Yeah, twisted,
but that's
jagged,
all
rocky.
mountains. Isn't that all mountains?
I'd like to say I'm pretty craggy.
Or is it craggy
I'm
mountain
definitely
more
craggy. When I haven't had a snack in a long time, I get very craggy.
Super craggy.
When you don't
Especially
have your diet
if I'm at
Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. I'm thirsty.
What does a craggy mountain mean?
I'm gonna go there because whatever. As y'all know, I love Xingqiu and Shangyun. And Shenhe assumes that Xingqiu is like always up to no good and like giving him dirty looks.
I don't know. I think there's something on the wiki that is throwing that off or something, because when I looked into that, I think what it's referencing is that Shenhe is suspicious of the way that Xingqiu whispers things to the traveler.
Yes,
Because
that's her voice line about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then Xingqiu's voice line about her is that she's always looking at me weird. Did I like do something offensive to her or to someone that she knows or that she's close to? I think like I wasn't clear on if it was to the traveler or Xiangyu.
I think it's to the traveler based off of Shenhe's storyline, but I think for all the Xingyun shippers out there, it's about Xiangyun. Because let's be real, Xingqiu is always like pranking Xiangyun and not doing the nicest things to him, giving him spices, making his yang energy spike. So I think for the shippers out there, they're like, Xingqiu fucked up. Xiangyun's auntie doesn't like him. But I do think based off her voice line, it's more about the traveler.
We sort of correct her within the voice line, right? She's like, what? Oh, it wasn't anything bad?
Good. I don't have
she
to
say something
kill
like
him
that
today.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need to murder anyone. Okay.
She like starts to tie the ropes back on.
She was like,
She's
I almost
good,
felt
good.
something for a second, but okay, I guess I won't kill him.
Yeah, she says
Guess
it's an
you won't
inside
die.
joke. She goes, you mean it's just an inside joke between friends? Genuinely? She's very questionable about it.
Yeah.
And also Shenhe is questionable about Zhongli.
Yeah.
She's like, he knows my master way too much. How can he be human if he knows my master? So
She's a smart cookie, that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say don't give her some truth serum anytime soon. She might blabble a little too much. I do think that's all the time that we have left for today. Thank you, travelers, for listening in to our episode about Shenhe's booty today. If you liked what you heard in this episode, or you want to let us know what you thought, or tell us what topics you'd like to see in the future, please follow us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. You can also email us any of your thoughts, theories, or questions to talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com. Next week, we are going to be talking about the one and only Venti the Bard. Much better than Six-Fingered Jose. But until then, travelers, safe journeys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, serial killer nerds.
Murder.